Welcome to Andy D. Cole's podcast. Please like, share and subscribe.
Welcome to Andy D. Cole's podcast. Press like and subscribe.
Welcome to Andy Decodes. Sit back and enjoy as we dive deeper down into the rabbit hole and into the unknown.
Hello, welcome to today's show, and I'll hand you over to Nicole.
Hi, everybody. Today we have with us Chelsey Turpening Coxsey. Did I say that right?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Chelsey is a dream analysis coach. So can you tell us, first of all, what a dream analysis coach is, what you do?
Yeah. So what we do is, I call it like a subconscious dive. We usually dive into the different internal parts of our subconsciousness, learn the symbolism of the subconsciousness, and try to find wholeness within it. So I work with like the internal family system, and I take it from a Carl Jung perspective, just to kind of fill in all the information. So what I normally do is, instead of analyzing one dream, I'll analyze a whole series of dreams. So for those who work with me for a long period of time, they really get a big picture of what's going on within themselves and their internal identities.
Thank you.
Yeah, it gets fun.
Can I ask you the first question about a dream that I have, kind of?
Okay.
Right in.
So,
Jump right in. I love it.
Right in. Sorry. So I started having a dream, right? But in this dream, there's another dream that I used to have years ago. So in this dream, this other dream's happening, but it's kind of happening in real life in the dream. That makes sense? That's the only way I can explain it.
So it's something you have experienced, and it's playing in your dreams?
No. So it's a dream from about 20, 25 years ago that I used to have quite regular. And now that dream is appearing in dreams that are going on now. But in the dream, the old dream is like real life. So
Okay.
it's so hard to explain.
Would you get more detail of context of the dreams?
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
Right. So so in the dreams that I'm having now, I'm meeting up with friends and we're talking about where we're going and what we're going to do. And then I'll say, oh, I've got an idea. I know where we can go. And then we start going to this place that I used to dream about. And then we go into the other dream, but still be in the new dream. And we go to this, like these rocks and caves and weird structures, and that's it really.
Okay. And when did you first start having these dreams, by chance? Like, what was going on?
The very first one, probably about 25 years ago.
Were you a teenager, young adult, or how old?
Mid-20s.
20s. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of hard to go off of like everyone's a little different and has emotional connection to it, but it sounds like it's you diving. If you're going into the caves and stuff, I'm going to take a guess that you're probably going into your subconsciousness or trying to do some self-exploration or something like that. It's usually shows in layers. So you probably, And if it keeps reappearing, it might be something that you still need to do to explore yourself or the internal caves of your subconscious states.
Right. Thank you. It was just really weird that there's a dream inside a dream. I just couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah, it's a popular concept. Some people like dream that they're meditating in their dream, or they're sleeping in their dream within a dream. It's a really fun space to explore. So I'm gonna take a guess on that one that you're probably trying to explore something internally, but it might even represent something you're experiencing in the daytime too.
Right.
With the cave, it just sounds like more like in-depthness of something that's not so surface level.
Right. Okay. No, thank you. Cheers for that. Sorry for like jumping in straight away. No,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Reel it back a second. Chelsey, how did you get into this? Is this something you've always been interested in, or was there an event that kind of sparked your interest in the dream?
So I've always had really interesting dreams growing up, and always real vivid. And then I started doing dream analysis on myself about 5 or 6 years ago. And I noticed when I was keeping a dream journal and really looking at it at a large scale that I was witnessing like my masculine side, my inner child. I was having out of body experiences. I was being chased by demons, but that were not connected to me, but in their own consciousness outside of myself. So I always really was fascinated by that. And then so I started going and getting certified to learn how to bring the space for other people. So it's been quite the journey of getting to this point. But I usually tackle it from the roots of Carl Jung. And I love the internal family system, which kind of just shows your internal aspects and their voices and how it shows up even in dreams. Which is funny because the internal family system, from what I understand, they weren't really talking about it in context of dreams, but when I had started into it, I realized very much that it was definitely showing up in dreams. So it was just another way to view yourself or psychoanalyze yourself.
It's really interesting that, you were able to take that aspect of like psychology and bring it into dream analysis.
Oh yeah, it was like really big light bulb moments. And I was like, oh, I wish I knew this sooner. This would have made it easier for me on my portion of self-discovery with it. So my clients are blessed to have the space.
So do you work as a team, or do you do it solo, like individually?
I do it by myself as of right now. The sessions are one-on-one, and it's not something that you just go to one session and think you're going to have all the answers. It is a process. They have to hold patterns, so I often try to have patterns. I have to work with the ego parts of ourselves and transition it into the subconsciousness, and also to build relationships with internal aspects of ourselves.
Sorry, your volume's just dropped. It's gone really muffled. It was when you moved the earpiece. There. Oh, no, it's gone again.
How about now?
Oh, yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really know how to use the earphones, but they do have that touch thing on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah. What I was saying.
Yeah. So
we lost it again a little bit.
It's gone. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still a little bit.
How about now?
Oh, perfect. That's so much better.
Perfect. Yeah. All right.
So, what made you get into it? Was there an initial reason that you thought, do you know what, I want to do dream analysis? Was there any particular thing with it?
Yeah, it just came on organically through my own experiences. I was really getting into it with myself. I'm very spiritualistic at this point, so like dreams kind of walked me through a spiritual awakening, really. I was meeting my guides. I was exploring different spiritual realms. I was having a lot of like metaphysical experiences on top of it. So it wasn't just a self-discovery, but a soul discovery. So it's, I don't know. Now I just love it a lot, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. So do you do anything like remote viewing or astral projection?
Yeah.
Does that
So
come
astral
into it?
projecting is like quite common. Remote viewing takes a little bit more practice, but
Yeah.
I don't practice it as much anymore. But I used to have a group of friends that I would practice with, and that was always kind of fun. I always say that it involves a lot of imagination and tapping into your intuition with it, and not overthinking it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Nicole, you got anything?
How literal would you say if, you know, an elephant kept showing up in somebody's dream? Would you say that elephant means the same thing for, you know, everyone? Or is it very subjective to what's going on in your own life, the symbolism?
It's very individual to that person or the dreamer. Each of us has an emotional connection to symbols. So it's important to get to know what's going on with that person emotionally and their feeling towards it. So like, I've never used a dream dictionary, because that's just kind of going off the mass collective's concepts of it. Each person's different. Some people will dream of like a snake in a positive way. Some people will dream of a snake in a negative way. And it's all within the context of the emotional state and what's going on in the actual dream. And they usually hold patterns, so it gets kind of obvious after a while.
Right. Okay. So do you get, I know you can't really go into detail about it, but do you get many people coming to you? Say I came to you and I told you this dream, and then Nicole comes to you and it's like the exact same dream. Do you ever get two people that say don't know each other and they come in and it's like literally the same dream?
There are some common ones. I can give like two examples of that. To have like almost maybe not the exact same dream, but a lot of people have dreams where they're exploring a house. And I usually say the house represents your subconsciousness or your internal states. That could be a positive thing or a negative. Sometimes it's a beautiful house. Sometimes it's like a haunted house. Those are really common, or even like getting lost at a mall or an airport. Things like that are really popular. But I have experienced with clients where they're having very like metaphysical dreams. And even though they're not having the same exact experience, they're getting the same information that fits each other like a puzzle piece. And it's really interesting. So that's usually like involves aliens giving them history lessons on planet Earth, or teaching special abilities, things like that. And those ones usually are more like wow factor, because it's just wild to see how they all fit together as almost like one large concept without ever meeting each other or even being aware of anything of the sorts in their daytime even.
Yeah. So do you think then that's a thing, that they're actually being contacted by other, I suppose, non-earthly beings, and like you said, it's a mass collective and that's what's bringing them together, that they're all being given this different bits of information?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I do believe it at this point, especially kind of seeing what's come across my table. And I know Stephen Greer is really popular on like the Gaia channel, and he talks about this a lot more too. So like, it makes sense that people are expressing this stuff, and like we've always had like weird alien stories and history and things like that, right? But to see it come through the dream states is just very magical. Sometimes they're negative, sometimes they're positive, but there's definitely something going on with all of that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen like every week, but it
does happen.
But it comes across my table enough to be like, okay, what's going on here?
Do you think that like people are actually getting messages from like outside sources, like, you know, guides, past loved ones, versus it all being in their subconscious?
Yeah. Usually it resonates with the dreamer. They know what belongs to them or what doesn't. And of course we have disconnected parts of ourselves that can appear to not be us, but are us. But usually you can resolve that and explore it. But we do see like past loved ones coming in and working as guides, giving warnings. We've had people who've, had like visions and things like that too. So it gets quite paranormal. So there's a lot going on. And past loved ones are popular. And like, of course, we'll dream about past loved ones because we've had those experiences physically, right? And of course, it's popular for it to show up, but it's all within the context and like the energy of it. And it's interesting.
Yeah. So do you get, I was saying before about the people that don't know each other getting, having similar dreams. Do you get, say, family members sharing the same dream?
Yep. I've seen that a few times. So like, I do feel like anything is possible in these realms, basically. I've had people who've had shared experiences or claim to have. I know I have with my son. He's like 5. I dropped into his dream once on accident. I don't know how I did it, but I dropped into his dream and I saw him playing with those Legos, and I went up and knocked the Legos off the counter on it. I don't know why I knocked the Legos off the counter. He got mad at me, yelled at me in the dream, woke up and smacked me in real life.
Oh, wow.
Aww.
So, it was very organic.
So would you say that's similar to remote viewing then? Dropping into somebody else's dream?
I'm sure it's connected in some elements. I call it shared dream experiences, but it's interesting. You can definitely share dreams. I've seen that enough, and I've heard about it, and people talk about it openly, even on the internet and stuff. So it's definitely going on.
Yeah. So do you think that you have to have that connection with the other person to have that shared dream, or could it be complete strangers?
Now that would be interesting if they were complete strangers. I see it more with people who are know each other and not necessarily physically close to each other, but you could be on the other side of the country even. So I think even, I don't know, because like I know people astral project into each other's dreams or can connect that way intentionally if they wanted to, or even unintentionally. So like I think you could take it from a couple different perspectives at that point.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Got our first question from one of the viewers. This is from Ogata, and she's asking, so why do I wake up at the same part of my dream at the same time each night?
Well, that is interesting. I couldn't give a direct answer on that, but I feel like there's definitely some meaning in that. I don't know what the dream is to dive into it, but I think it's important if you're seeing a repeated pattern over and over again, it's important to explore it, and it's not done by accident.
Yeah, thank you. Ryan's put a message in the chat, and it's I know everyone's pretty much had this dream. I have dreams where at the end I'm falling straight down to earth, and you always wake up before you land. Now, someone's explained to me.
Yeah, it sounds like astral projecting. People fall back into their bodies a lot of the times, or so the fact that he's falling back down to earth, it definitely sounds like an out of body experience, if he remembers it or not.
Yeah.
I have a question.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Why do you think it is that people don't see their phones in their dreams? I heard that that's like a thing.
See their what?
They don't see their phones in their dreams.
Oh.
So you'll never be using your phone in your dream.
I've used my phone a lot in dreams, so maybe it just hasn't been used as symbolically. But I've used my phone in dreams just casually, and I've also witnessed my phone be a portal to someone. So yeah.
Okay, so apparently it's not a thing. It's like going around the internet that like you'll know you're dreaming because you can't use your phone. You don't have a phone. They use it like to kind of gauge like lucid dreamings, like wake themselves up.
Maybe that's interesting. No, I've definitely used my phone a lot in dreams. I even had a dream this last week where I was holding my phone and dropped it in the water. And
it could be an urban myth.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from that.
I think so.
I was going to say. Oh, that's it. So I've we had Preston Dennett on a while ago, and he was talking us how to like meditate to do astral projection. So I've been trying it a few times with the Bluetooth face mask on to help me sleep better. And the last couple of dreams that I had when I was doing that, I could smell, I could feel the air, the breeze, and that. I could feel and touch the buildings, and from that point, I've noticed that my dreams have been in colour. Now, before that, I couldn't tell you if there was colour or black and white or grey or whatever. But I know since then, all my dreams have been in colour, the ones that I can remember. Is there anything that in that? There's got to be something in it, but it's just, messing with me
It
head
was
a bit.
interesting that you were having dreams in black and white. And I have heard of this before. And some people have them in like multicolor, like really vibrant. It sounds like you're just starting to wake up your extra senses or your normal senses in the dream states and becoming more aware. Because people, you know, like your subconsciousness is very powerful. It knows a lot of details throughout what we experience during the day and can bring it into the dream. So I would say it's probably just going a little more lucid or a lot more lucid in having those experiences.
Yeah, well, I could feel it wasn't that wind, but you know, like a slight breeze, I could feel it on my face, and I could smell the grass, and there's like moss on this building. But in the dream, I knew I was dreaming because I needed to get up to use the bathroom, but I wanted to finish what I was doing in the dream before I got up. But I didn't get, but it was like the bathroom was winning and the dream was losing. And as soon as I started to wake up, I could feel myself like fly back. And then as I woke up from the dream, I was literally sitting up and getting out of bed, like that same moment.
Yeah, that sounds like you were very lucid, which it does feel like lucid's just a very strong awareness, but it also wakes up like the sixth senses and all that, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you were having a very vivid lucid dream.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I thought, but you know better than me, so I thought I'd ask. Because if I didn't ask, I'd never know.
Yep, that's what we're here. We're exploring.
I had a question. I knew I should have written it down because I'm trying to remember it. So why you know why some of the dreams we don't remember? Is there any particular reason behind that? I think someone's put it in the chat. No, it wasn't a question. It's like, someone put that they don't remember the dreams.
Okay. I usually say that a lot of things would come into play with that. Stress, anxiety, being too busy, not putting awareness into it. I usually say that dream memory to me feels like a muscle, something you work out and train. So, but you know, like I also have nights where I will dream very actively for a long period of time. And then I have some nights where I just feel like I don't remember anything, or you remember it and it's very vivid and you're like, there's no way I'm going to forget this. And then as you wake up, you forget it. I think it's something of a transition from dreaming to waking. Things do get lost a little bit. So that's why I usually say journal in the mornings. That usually helps pull out more details, memory triggers, things like that. Because it's there. It's just in the subconsciousness somewhere in the file cabinet. Yeah.
Yeah, I always find that if I forget my dream as soon as I wake up, that's it. It's pretty much gone forever. But if I don't remember it, then over the next few days, it's like going out when I was younger and having a few drinks, and eventually your memories start coming back. Yeah, and once I remember them sort of dreams, I never forget them.
Yeah, it's that's what I call like a memory trigger. Something during the day will trigger, be like, oh, I had it, and then it kind of flows out, and you'll start remembering more details. Even, it's fun.
Yeah.
How do you think that the dreams like relate to deja vu? Do you think it's like that dreams we can't remember, and something triggers like a memory, like you were talking about?
With deja vu, I don't know how much that has to do with dreams. I feel like deja vu is kind of its own breed a little bit, but I do find it fascinating. I'm not like an expert at deja vu, but every time I experience deja vu, I always try to lean into it more and really give it my attention and dissect it. Or try to remember what's going to happen next if I'm in the deja vu. And like kids usually will experience deja vu more than adults, but I find it fascinating. Really, it's so like I always use my imagination and try to really lean into it more and see if I can predict even a little bit.
Yeah. And does that work? Has that happened often?
I don't get it as much anymore. I used to experience deja vu a lot more when I was like younger or in my early 20s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far not so much now. Like maybe once or twice a year, if even.
Yeah. No, thank you. Question that I popped up before, sorry, are there any techniques for remembering your dreams more easily? I know you said about having a dream journal and writing them down as soon as you get up. Is there anything else you can do other than that?
Meditation is a good one. If you can take what bits and pieces you do remember of the dream, if it's the way it made you feel, or if you remember tiny little fragments of it, trying to put more mindfulness and attention into it can help. But sometimes, it is something you might just remember a few days later when something kind of synchronistically pulls out a memory trigger of it. But no, something I tell people is either meditate in the morning, meditate at night while you're falling asleep, just like lay in your bed, meditate and fall into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And like I know a bunch of people who are like more like lucid dream coaches and stuff, and they have like a lot more tips than I do. I only go off of my own personal experiences with it for the most part with that one.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
thank you. Is it possible to have a nightmare but then never remember it?
I would imagine, yeah. Just like any other dream, nightmares definitely are more escalated, and I think we tend to remember nightmares a little bit more than others. But I've noticed that sometimes, even within myself, it's not necessarily a nightmare, but like I'll have an experience in a dream, and I will go behind closed doors where my conscious aspects can't go.
Yeah.
And I will like literally block myself out, which is really annoying, and that's why I want to get into hypnosis.
Right, okay. No, I was only asking that because I don't think I've ever had a nightmare. I've had a couple of bad dreams because partner tells me all the time that I'll talk or shout in my sleep. It's like, and I'll wake up and I'll say, "Oh, someone was trying to get me," and I was like fighting with them. But other than that, I've never had a nightmare like where I've woke up screaming and terrified or anything like that.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I say you're probably pretty lucky, but if you are having nightmares, you might just be internally blocking yourself from the experience even too.
Yeah.
Which makes sense with people who go through extreme trauma, even they will block out parts of that too. So the brain is really powerful.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you want to do the next question, Nicole?
Yeah. Okay, Forrest Rye asked, how can I wake up from a dream, go to the toilet, and go back to sleep and be in the exact same dream?
Oh, because it's still fresh on the mind. A lot of people do that with lucid dreaming, which actually waking up and going back to sleep, even for just a minute or two, is a perfect example of inducing a lucid dream or even an out-of-body experience dream, because you're waking your conscious aspects up real briefly, and then you're jumping right back into the dream. So that's pretty common, actually.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I missed that. I can kind of see them popping up. They're small.
All right, yeah. All right, this is from Neil Warden, and he's asking, I had a strange dream the other day. The left half of my hair was falling out. I'm not concerned about male baldness, so what could it mean?
That sounds like an anxiety dream or a stress dream. Stuff like that, like even your teeth falling out, things like that, things we can't control in our lives or emotional states that are impeding in on us a little bit.
Yeah, I think I remember dreaming once that two of my teeth fell out. I was devastated. And when I woke up, I'm like, oh, I think it's the two bottom ones. Oh, thank God for that. You know, when it just feels so real.
I have the
It's like,
teeth dreams a lot during stressful times, and I've even had my hair fall out a few times in dreams, and I've always was going through something in my daytime that was very stressful. So like I call
yeah.
them, for me, my anxiety dreams or stress dreams.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, my first time that I lucid dreamed that I can remember was because I was having a dream and all my teeth fell out, and then I'm freaking out and I'm like, wait, this is a dream. All my teeth did not really just fall out. It was fine. Once I realized,
Yeah,
that wasn't actually.
I always say that extreme moments in dreams can snap you lucid. That's kind of a term I'll use. It strikes you lucid a little bit, and it's always interesting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it was a good dream, but it wasn't afterwards. So I woke up, I was dreaming, and I dreamt I found out what the lottery numbers were. And I woke up, I remembered them, I wrote them all down, nothing. Didn't even get one number. It's absolute. I thought, if this doesn't work, then nothing's going to work. This was years ago. And it's like, I can't believe it. I put it on for like 2-3 weeks and nothing on it. I thought, I ain't doing that. The dream
They
about
could
me,
have
I'm not
represented.
bothering. Gutted.
Yeah, they could have represented something different in your life, but being like positive influence, obviously. And I that's when we'll track stuff within the subconsciousness or the patterns of symbolism. And so maybe if you had a dream journal and you're looking at it at a large scale, you would have noticed the numbers kind of maybe appear in other ways too, or even in your daytime.
I only remember 3 of the numbers. I can't remember all 6 of them. But yeah, so far, not really any relevance, I don't think. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Numbers have a lot of meaning too. So like it could not try to say it goes off the mass collective, but they could have been like little messages for you or something from your subconsciousness, and they wanted you to pay attention.
Right.
I have a question for you. Do you remember your first lucid dream? And what did you do? Like when you realized you could do anything?
I don't know if I remember my first lucid dream, but I've had a few that are really interesting and some that were out of body. So for lucid, as a good story, I was doing the self-discovery. This was like probably 3 years ago, and I was already like very aware of my internal parts and trying to explore parts of myself. And I was had a dream several times where I kept seeing this door and that I couldn't open or get through. And I felt like it led to a different part of my subconscious states that was kind of blocked from my conscious parts. And I kept trying to open the door. And eventually I did get the door to open, and it kind of like whooshed DMT at me real strong, which your brain can do that. You can like experience DMT in your sleep, right?
Yeah.
And I had done it several times, and I realized my inner child was the one that was still hiding and was doing it to me. Which had a lot of healing to do with it. But it was the idea that she was like very much exiled by myself. And it was kind of a hard lesson, but it was really interesting how that happened, because I remember, like there's often times where I'll use lucid dreaming to explore my internal states. And I have some clients who are trying to practice doing that too. So it's not always just, like creating scenes and playing and having fun. But then I had an out-of-body experience probably like 13 years ago where I came into a scene of like these evil gray aliens that were trying to control reality. And they had like humans on one half of a circle, and they were on another half of a circle, kind of like in cult-like robes. And there was like this portal in the middle that was supposed to like warp your reality or confuse it or control it, and they were pushing people into it. And I remember being able to like hear what everyone was thinking, and I remember thinking, I know what's going on here. And one of them looked at me real like almost very sharply and with like negative energy, and then I flew out of the scene and then woke up. But it was like, so that's one I think would be very loose, because lucid is just awareness, but then astral projecting would be like aware and out of body. So they kind of phase into each other sometimes. But I do have clients who will like lucid dream and kind of create the scenes and play and have fun with it too. And yeah, you can do whatever you want in your dream states.
That was my first. It's very shallow. I did nothing deep and profound. I did the whole thing where you snap and change your clothes.
Yeah, and some people will try to fly or jump and fly or test like you know, create buildings, create whatever scene they wanted to. You could even go back into memory if you chose, and to re-experience memories or experiences, things like that. So,
do you have any tips for trying to be more aware of your dreams?
That's a good one. I'm not a lucid dream coach, but I do know people who are, and they could give way more advice on this than I could. For me, lucid always kind of happens on accident, but I also know that I'm dreaming all the time. So like if I choose to take control of it or not, or just let the dream and experience the dream for how it organically flows. But I do think that people practice this stuff a lot, and it kind of turns into a sport a little bit, I feel like, with the lucid dreaming. So like they practice, like I always, you know, like for me, I suggest meditating before bed and setting intentions. And the more you practice conscious awareness, even in the day, you'll experience it more at night too. And like, I never really had a lucid trick that would like be like, oh, am I dreaming or am I awake? Like I just kind of knew. And then I can go wherever I wanted from there, really. So it's just, I don't know. But some people get really in depth with it and they're like, oh, I have a little ball, or I try to jump and fly, or, you know, they test it out first before they get into it. So actually I shared something on my Facebook page earlier from another dream coach who he has a 6-day course on lucid dreaming techniques. So, you know, there are people out there who really focus just on the lucid dreaming part. I help the best I can with it within my clients, but I definitely more am the analyst of the dreams.
Makes sense. That's important. That's coming from your own subconscious rather than things that you're creating. Yeah.
So, but yeah, like once you get the dream states down, like you can do whatever you wanted, really. That's why I always say it's like a muscle. Like if you went to the gym and worked out, you know, and you would be building that muscle up, and it just gets stronger from there.
Makes sense.
Am I all right to tell you about another recurring dream that I have that involves aliens or spacecraft?
Okay.
Is that all right? So this is really strange. So I'll be walking down the street. It's at night. It's always at night, and I'll be out just walking about. It's all different places. Some places that I know, some places that I've never been to. And I'll start seeing like lights flashing in the sky. Then you'll see all different shaped objects and like hundreds of lights flying across. A bit like you get an air show, but this is like lights in UFOs. And then as I'm watching, I kind of realize it's kind of a sky battle going on. And then I'll turn to go away, and the same person, this old bloke, he's got like bald on top, grey around the sides, I'd say he's about 70, 75 or so. And he'll look at me, like I'll look at him, make direct eye contact, and he'll go, "What you doing here? You're not supposed to be able to see any of this." Then I'll look at whoever I'm with, and then we'll try and get away from him. And every time I dream about all this stuff in the sky, he's always there. And it can be in any different place, but this bloke always pops up. I haven't got a clue who he is. Never seen him. Don't know.
Huh. That's an interesting one because it's reoccurring in the same phase all the time. I normally would suggest that's an internal family system dream, but I feel like there's some metaphysics in there too. So that's a really interesting one. It could still be like I wonder, do you feel like you're the old man in that dream, or does you feel like something consciously outside of yourself?
No, he's someone completely different.
Okay. Maybe you did have an experience that would represent that, and it keeps playing over and over again, trying to get your attention.
Well, I
If you
have
remember
been
it or not.
told, someone did a remote view on me, and I have been told that I've got missing time, and I have had not an abduction, but a face-to-face encounter with ETs, possibly more than once. But I'm kind of on the fence about having regression done because I'm not sure if I want to know everything. Yeah, so I'm still thinking about it. But this dream was happening quite a lot, and then it still happens now and again, but it doesn't feel as intense as what it used to.
Yeah. That kind of resonates a little bit. That makes sense. Something that you don't remember, but your subconsciousness always remembers. Whatever your experience is put in there, and it can't be taken out. So it would show up in your dreams. So maybe in a way, you could go lucid next time you have that dream and try to actually ask the man a question or explore it more and see what comes up, is what I would suggest.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool
I'll see if
one.
we can have the dream tonight and see what happens.
Try to
Tell
talk
me
to
how
him.
it goes.
I'll probably just fall straight asleep and not remember anything. That's what normally happens. Oh, thank
Do
you
you
for that.
think that everybody dreams, or do you think there's some people who don't dream?
I personally feel like everybody dreams, because it's what our brain does through those phases, and we have it during the same sleep. So our sleep phases happen during the day and at night, right? It's just the way our brain moves through the different processing. So I feel like everyone dreams. It's just if they're remembering it or not. And it depends on like your lifestyle, I feel like, or if you're under a lot of stress. Some people are taking medication. I could see how that would block it a little bit. Things we eat, even. Like a lot of things could come into play at that point. But I feel like the brain does work, and it will still be doing that because it's a way to process even your daily experiences or our emotions. So I feel like you'd have to be like almost brain dead to not dream or have something that's physically broken.
Just a matter of whether or not they remember or are aware of it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people always tell me they don't remember their dreams or they don't dream. And I'm like, no, you dream, you're not remembering it.
Next question is from Jojo, and she is asking, what does it mean if things change in your dream a lot? As in, I could be walking down the road with friends, then it turns into we'd be riding horses. Oh, so it's like
dreams,
I guess.
Yeah, dreamscapes happen a lot, and they transition fast. So things change in dreams, as in I could be walking down the street and then it turns to where I'd be riding horses. Now I don't know if I could analyze that necessarily without really being able to ask more questions or talk to her personally. But dreams change a lot, so like it's kind of normal to go from one scene to the next to the next to the next, kind of like a movie a little bit. And they can be very random and almost feel unrelated to the previous scene.
Yeah, I had a few like that, and I just put it down to dreaming. Nothing, didn't go too deep into trying to work out what it was all about. I just felt it's just a messed up dream. I've had that. Carry on.
We have a question from UFO Joe. Chelsey, do you know anything about recurring nightmares the same months for exactly a month, every night of those specific months for decades?
Oh, well, nightmares are interesting, so I don't really know much about what's going on in your life. But I think that if you're having reoccurring dreams, it wants your attention. That's just all I know with reoccurring dreams. It's something important to explore. Now, if it's an internal family system dream or maybe something you had experienced in real life that's not been processing. So usually when we have reoccurring dreams, I really like to dig deep into those and see why it's reoccurring, what the message in it is, and what we could do to resolve it, basically.
You've been talking a lot about the internal family system. Can you just briefly explain, what that is for anybody who may not be super aware?
Yeah, so the internal family system is breaking down, like psychoanalyzing ourselves into different parts. So you'd have like your inner child, your masculine side, your feminine side, your higher self. You could have up to many aspects in there that would have like kind of manifested throughout life, even like if you went through trauma or if you had someone around you telling you who you are, and like, or even their internal voices acting like you. But I usually keep it at the roots of the main pieces and parts, and your soul would even be considered an internal family system aspect. It's very like Carl Jung based of psychoanalyzing yourself into many, not just you as your, so like I say, you and your main self, but then your ego can also be an internal part. And they show up sometimes as, they can show up as anything, but they're usually very symbolic. And they're not always repeating in the same image either, but they'll have like the same pattern or the same message. So like inner child dreams are really popular. Usually we'll go back to something from childhood, if it be school or your childhood home. You view yourself through the eyes of the inner child. So that's kind of what I refer to. It's very like in your house, your internal emotional states. It's not metaphysical at all. It's very much your emotional processing of your experiences throughout life. And it's a great way to see where the imbalances are too. So like say if you're heavily masculine and you're lacking the feminine traits in your life, you might have dreams of like a woman who's like mysterious, or even if like an old hag or sickly, and that would be a part of yourself that's wanting to have the platform in the daytime, but it's not getting it because it's been exiled. And I usually say that our ego or our conscious parts will exile these parts of ourselves into the unconsciousness, which is very unhealthy, really. So it's good to like embrace our wholeness within, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I just check, are we good for time still?
Yes.
Yeah, is that all right? Are we okay to go for a break? It's only 3 minutes.
That is fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Right. I've got a couple more questions. If anyone else has, please get them ready, and see you in 3 minutes. Bye-bye.
All right.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back.
Hey.
Is that enough time for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Right. I've got 2 questions, if that's okay. First one is: do you get many reports from people dreaming about the voice went about the Hat Man?
I do get some really weird stuff on that. Maybe not
Yeah.
the Hat
Ooh.
Man, but we've witnessed shadow people, and exploring dreams has kind of forced me to get into demonology more.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, like I had a client that I had to work with. We've been working together for like 7 months now, and the first 6 to 7 months was literally just working through demonic activity in his dreams and even in the daytime. And it was very obvious. It was not a disconnected aspect of himself, which is why I love getting into that work. And also, I have some friends who are shamanic healing practitioners, so I usually explore through their realm too a little bit and try to bring my best to bring that to the table. But now I have to get certified at some point into shamanic work because of it.
Right. And just to go a little bit deeper, have you had anyone claim that they've brought objects out of their dreams?
Like actual physical objects, or
so an actual solid, like a piece of wood, a stone, a ball, anything?
No, I have not experienced that yet. Have you
No.
heard of people claiming that?
I've heard stories like on podcasts and that people have claimed to have brought stuff through, but I've never spoke to anyone or witnessed anything myself. I just thought with you doing this, that you might have had the odd person claim that they've done it.
I have not experienced that or heard of it yet, but if it happens, then I'm going to have to research and look into it and track patterns at this point and see the item in their hand.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This reminded me, Andy, about this crazy dream that I had, and it kind of came into the physical world. So I had this dream that I was in some kind of like concentration work camp in Russia. And I was, as a white woman, I was relatively okay. Like some people were being treated very badly. People who were homosexuals or people of color.
Yeah.
But, I was aware of what was going on, and we were still like made to work. And it was just a really weird dream because I don't know where it would have come from. And then in the morning, I woke up, and my my Gmail had a sign-in attempt from Russia.
What?
Yeah. Now that is interesting. So I do see how there can be like a lot of synchronicity between the dreams and the daytime in that aspect. And maybe it's not. So going back to your original question, even like maybe they're not getting a physical item and taking it from their dream, but they may have dreamt it and then had it in the daytime, maybe. But yeah, there's a lot going on. And like when we explore dreams through a metaphysical filter, yeah, it's not just you wouldn't be just experiencing it in your dreams, you'd be experiencing it during the day too.
Right.
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's actually triggered something that I did the other week. It's not so much a dream. So I had my phone in my hand. I normally play games as I'm going. It's like I think it must have been a weekend because it's like normally I just put my phone down when I've got to get up early for work. And I was either laying on the sofa or laying in the bed, and I'm like half as I kept drifting off, and ended up buying a couple of items off Temu. I ordered them, everything, but I don't remember doing it. I was asleep when I'd done it.
What'd you buy?
I thought this was one of them. It's a plague doctor. You put a cone in the back, and then the smoke comes out the eyes and what have you. Somewhere else, I can't remember what it was. It's only like a couple of things, but I paid for it and everything and do not remember doing it. I know I was asleep because I fell asleep with my phone in my hand. So
That's,
I don't know
that
if
is
you've had
interesting.
anything like that before.
I have not, but I'd have to explore that more because, like, were you like it's just sleepwalking, sleep shopping, maybe,
Sleep
or
shopping.
uh,
I know I talk in my sleep. People have had full-blown conversations with me, but I never remember the conversation because I'm asleep
yeah,
and they're awake. So I
it would
don't
make
know, but
sense. Yeah, because your consciousness is relaxing or sleeping, but the other parts of your brain are still quite active and functioning.
yeah,
So like people could still be walking around or physically doing stuff or even talking in their sleep, but the motor skills are still there,
yeah,
even if you're consciously not awake.
yeah,
Because like
yeah.
I always break
Well,
it down that your consciousness is one aspect of yourself, and then you've got the subconsciousness, which is way larger and it holds a lot of the motor skills and all the other stuff too. So it's like that part doesn't sleep. If anything, it comes out to play more at night than
yeah,
once the conscious parts are kind of shut down or relaxed.
yeah. I think something like that must have happened because I'd opened the app. I've got to use my thumbprint to authorize payments. So I'd done everything you have to do. So I
Yeah,
must have been like that in between state.
I could see that, like an in between it. Yeah, because like that's
Yeah,
why I always say the human brain is really complex and it's brilliantly done. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's probably still one of the biggest mysteries we have going on, I think, in science and stuff, and trying to figure out our full capacity in that space.
yeah. But I didn't know I'd done it till I got a notification the following day to let me know my order had gone through. I'm like, what? What? Thought I'd been hacked. Then when they see what about, it's like, yeah, that sort of thing. Goodbye. So
It's
A
very
question about
interesting.
that in between state.
yeah,
So a spiritual odyssey says, I get most of my messages during that time between awake and asleep. How can I enhance that state?
Oh, yeah, that'd be like a nice meditational space. Um, so people always say if you're trying to have like out of body experiences or anything in that lane, and that's a very broad term, right? It would be in between the sleep and awake almost. Even though people can get them in their deep sleep, but people who try to do it intentionally, they'll set alarm clocks on purpose and wake up
yeah,
for a minute and then fall back asleep. It's something to do with trying to get your consciousness to alert back up and then fall back to sleep more consciously aware. Um,
yeah.
which,
I
like
used to
which is
do
why you
that.
can carry on the dream that you had well before you woke up even, or have like an out of body experience or lucid dream even.
Yeah,
Just
I used to do
consciously
that.
trying to alert yourself.
Yeah, I used to do that in my 20s. I'd do set it on purpose, so I'd fall asleep, and just as I'm going, I'd wake back up again, and I just managed to keep doing it, and it was good, but it was really weird as well. It was good to have that control of doing it and being able to like go from one to the other and back again. But then I stopped doing it, and I've not after a few years, and then I just never didn't do it. Didn't do it for so long. I've tried doing it again, and just can't do it anymore.
It's like that's why I say it's the muscle, like going to the gym,
Yeah,
like if you take a break, you got to retrain it back. I know that I was experiencing a lot of this before I was really aware of it and had gotten into the lane. But like I've had two boys who are 5 and 6, or 4 and 5. So I noticed when they were newborns or little, I was waking up to care for them, going back to sleep, and I was doing that all night long, right? And that's probably when I was having the most out of body experiences, or even lucid, because you're constantly waking up, or if someone's going to the bathroom a lot in the middle of the night and they're waking up for just a minute or two or 5 minutes and going
yeah,
right back to sleep. It's kind of playing this game with between your conscious parts and your subconscious, and how it's their awareness of each other.
no, thank you. I've got another question. Like, no one judge me on this, but this happens, and it happens quite a lot. So I'll be falling asleep, and then the partner, she'll talk to me, and I try and talk back, the words don't come out. It's like I can't even do it when I'm awake. I'll start talking and it's like gibberish, but a lot of the stuff repeats itself. There's like the vowels and the consonants and the syllables in it. Even when I'm saying it, I can see the pattern, but I don't understand what the words are, what it means. And I'll just open that and this foreign language comes out. And this has been happening for 2-3 years, maybe.
Huh. It's an
And
actual
I know
language, or
what
is it just gibberish?
I know what I'm in my head. I know what I'm saying, but as I'm talking, it's not coming out like that. But I kind of understand it.
Okay, it sounds like a motor skill, like it's kind of stuck in between a little bit. But if you
Right.
were speaking an actual language that could recognize but not understand, like say if you're speaking German or French or something, uh, I would almost suggest maybe a past life
Right.
thing almost, because
Yeah.
that does come up in dreams a lot too. But
Right.
that's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's
because it's
happened
been
when people
happening.
like hit their head and then they start talking a different language.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's a different language. I've never heard this language before. But say I was saying a sentence and it had the word if or the in. It's like the house over there is near the river next to the fence. So I'd be saying something and a certain particular phrase, a word, or whatever it is I'm saying would pop up. So that's where I'm picking up on the pattern of like repeating sounds.
Yeah.
That
That
is
sounds like
all I
a
can work
motor.
out from it.
Yeah, it sounds like something to do with like motor skills. Kind of caught up in between the phases a little bit.
Yeah. But is
It's
that
kind of
anything
cool.
to worry about? Or is it just nothing?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I
Right.
would not stress out over it. Don't stress yourself out. If anything, it's kind of cool. Maybe practice it some more and see if you can develop it.
Yeah. I've tried doing it during the day and it's like it is nothing like it. But what I need, I've got a voice recorder what I use when I go out investigating. I'm gonna start keeping that under the pillow. So if I do it again, I'll just switch it on and then
Mhm.
listen to it. I can
Yeah.
see what comes up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone just put in Andy, you just weird. I know that, but right. Next question is from Jojo. I want to dream about past family members. Is there a way to do this, please, Chelsey?
Yes. I've had people ask me this a lot. So I always say it works like a telephone. If you start talking to them during the day and bringing your conscious awareness to it, you will begin to experience it at night. It's like opening the opportunity up for it to happen in your dreams. And yeah, we do it in our own memory experiences, or maybe go back to like, a holiday or an event or something, or just sitting, we have that built into our memory system. But I do believe that if you are trying to communicate with their actual spirit, you should be doing it during the day too, and allowing the space for it at night. That's kind of my thing with that.
Yep, thank you. So do you think that is like going on to the paranormal side of it? Is that a way of communicating with them direct? Would you say, or is it just like in the head?
No, that would be more the paranormal side of it, even though we will experience it both ways. And obviously we can do
Yeah,
that, but I think you'll know the difference. It'll resonate with you.
yeah.
Because
You
it'll
you
become
get
off
that
very
feeling.
strong, and you will just kind of know that they're there. And they usually come with just messages of love, or they try to help. I know
Yeah,
for me, my grandmother is a really popular one, and she often works as a guide, or she'll just be lingering in the background of my dreams, but she won't be a part of it. Or she'll try to come up and just give me a hug and smile, and she's very like angelic, like.
yeah.
So, and I have had dreams where I walked her into the light when the night she died.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's like very, like metaphysical or paranormal at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
point. And like, that wasn't a memory I had of her while she was alive.
No.
But I do experience that during the day too in various ways. And so that's why I say, just if you want to experience a past loved one, start trying to do it during the day in whatever way you can. Just say, hey, I love you, or, like, I feel like your energy is around, or try to create it within yourself. And then it's opening the door for it to happen more at night.
Yeah. Thank you. I've got another question. Have you had anyone that have like, say it's been during the day and they've been doing whatever they're doing, and then they've like, say, been in a trance and they've come out of it and they kind of think they've had a dream, but they've not actually been asleep.
Daydreaming.
Yes, I suppose, yeah, but without actually, that's like drifting off, but you actually go and have like a full-blown dream.
Yeah. A lot of people do that. It can be called a lot of things. I call it like daydreaming, but it's still accessing your subconscious states. You can do it through imagination, through meditation, through art. You can, like even people, I have a lot of friends who are like psychic. They don't necessarily go into trances. They at this point, they're pretty good at just tapping in and knowing what's theirs or what's not. But there's a lot going on in that space. So, and it's all, I feel like, kind of connected to like the same motor skills of that. It's just, yeah.
I always think like daydreaming was more like when you sat there and you're bored and you just drift off a little bit and start thinking about stuff you'd rather be doing than what you're actually having to do. To me, that's more daydreaming. But I mean, like, and then you kind of, when you come back round, you kind of forget where you are and what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. It's like you stepped out for a minute almost.
Yeah.
I've known people who have astral projected doing that unintentionally, and people do it in meditation, you know what I mean? So like, it's very possible to have it during the day. I think ultimately it's trying to access certain parts of our brain without tripping over our consciousness. So we're kind of like releasing or relaxing our conscious states and letting everything else flow kind of and do what it does.
Thank you.
That goes along with this question from the Dogman UK. Question: what happens if your dreams aren't dreams? They're real and you don't realize it.
Well, I've tried to understand that a little bit. Happens if your dreams aren't dreams, they're real and you don't realize it. Can you give me an example, maybe? Because I know that maybe, let's see. Because like
I don't know if maybe
like are you sleeping and you feel like your dreams are real, or do you revert that a little bit?
know if maybe there's like a thought that maybe dreams are like a window into a different dimension, things like that. I do think we access a lot of things. So I always say, like, your mind has a front door. Things can come into your house and you can walk out of your house, just like in daytime, right? So there's a lot going on, and like a lot of people have like premonitions and visions. A lot of people experiencing other people in dreams or having shared experiences. It's popular. Even like twins experience a lot more. I think normally people who are twins, they tend to be way more in tune to each other, and they'll even experience a shared reality on those levels too, or someone you're close with. It's quite an interesting space. That's why I was like, it's trippy.
Oh, thank you.
And there's really probably not much difference between like the daytime and the nighttime if you think about it. Like, I was watching a YouTube video on this Alberta, the last I cannot remember his name right now, but he has a shamanic school that I'm looking at, and he was talking about like shamanism. They don't really recognize the difference all the time between like the dream or the awake spaces, because like we're living life and it kind of is still a dream. So it's like a dream within a dream. It's really interesting in concept.
Thank you. Next question is from Lauren. Angel. She's asking, hi guys, what does the panel think sleep paralysis is? Thank you. Hi, Joe.
Sleep paralysis. I think it's a couple things. I think there's different types of sleep paralysis. Now, I'm not like a professional on the sleep paralysis, but what I've noticed is that it can be due to stress, lack of oxygen, I believe, as well as paranormal. So like I've only ever experienced it with paranormal, and I've only have one client right now who is experiencing sleep paralysis often, and it's with the demonic activity he has. So, and he will physically see the demon moving around, and it happens a lot. So, like from my end of things, I usually am looking at sleep paralysis from a paranormal perspective, but I do think that it can be like also a medical condition or just a lot of stress and anxiety in your life too. So it's important to really dive in and figure out what's going on with that, because some people are having trouble breathing at night, right? And I think it's sleep apnea, which will cause sleep paralysis too.
Right.
So I break it down. It's not just black or white with sleep paralysis.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it can be a number of different things. Depends what's going on
and
with
like
life.
some people who have out-of-body experiences, when they come back to the body, they'll experience sleep paralysis. I've only experienced it once, and it was coming back into my body from an out-of-body experience. And I remember asking my guides to help me, and I've heard them like say, it'll just take a second and you'll feel a pressure of release, and it stopped immediately.
Yeah. Oh.
It's interesting.
Chelsey, you're an author too, right?
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about your book? What it's about?
Yeah. So got the first one it's a series, Living Life Metaphorically. And the first book is out on Amazon right now, which is Living Life Metaphorically, A Journey to Waking Up. It has creative expressions from the soul and the subconsciousness and just self-discovery. It's got dreams in it and meditation. I do not analyze my dreams in the book. I kind of leave it up for the reader to have their own personal self-reflection of it, which I think is kind of cool and makes it unique to the reader. Then the second book, so each book kind of represents different chakra lessons leading into higher consciousness. So the first book would be like the first two lower chakras. Then I've got the second one where I'm starting out at like the heart chakra, and then which is a journey to within. It's just, expressing a lot of inner healing and like identifying different aspects of myself. And then the third one, which is Living Life Metaphorically, A Journey to Other Realms, definitely has a lot more out-of-body experiences, practicing with meditation, practicing with astral projecting with other friends, and sharing those experiences. And plus and it's very creative. So it's not like a very large read. They're short little snippets of writing with really in-depth concepts. And I talk about myself individually through creative expression, as well as like the mass collective and world history and things like that. And it flows real nice. So it's kind of like this journey. But ultimately, when I look at it as the series as a whole, it's very much like the hero's journey from mythology. And kind of expressing it from my own thing and trying to inspire it in other people.
Cool. So is the plan like one book for each chakra?
About 2 or 3 chakras, because I take a whole year and I'll write. And then so right now I'm on my like 3rd year of writing. My second one's going to be out. I'm editing it and formatting it now, so hopefully it'll be out early spring. And then the third one is I'm still writing it, but I'm like 80 pages in, and I think I might go a little longer because the crown chakra has been, well, the third eye was really interesting because it involved my inner child being able to see beyond the veil, and that was something I had learned. But it was also learning special abilities, working with my guides a whole lot, and the crown chakra is really kind of bringing it all to full circle with wholeness and transitioning into the soul. And it has conversations between the ego and the soul in it towards the end, where the soul wants to make the choices and live through life from a soul perspective versus the fear of the ego or the overthinking of the ego and stuff like that. Yeah, they're beautiful. They they're not preachy, but they really give a space for the reader to reflect on their own too, and kind of, even though they're reading my experience, I think at the end of the day, they also feel like they're reading their own experiences a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Sorry. I know you've kind of answered this already, but like when we dream, do you think that it's the soul, I suppose, like you said, it's that out of body experience? Would you ever say it's the soul leaving the body to go to a different dimension, I suppose? Or could it just be it's your brain relaxing and remembering stuff that's gone on, for whether it's the last few hours or the last 10 years?
That's an interesting question. I do feel like it is the soul, if you realize it's the soul or not. That's why I feel like when I describe the metaphysical aspects of going out of body, it feels like it's a very like soul discovery, or the soul experiencing stuff. I'm not going to say that's like accurate though. I'm sure other people probably would explain that a little bit differently than I do. But I've noticed that like the ego tends to stay in the house, our internal house, right? But our soul seems to not need the body or anything else. It just goes and does whatever it wants.
Yeah.
So I think people, so I've noticed that I'll also refer to it as the higher self. Like if I have a dream where someone is interacting with me that I know in daytime, there's a difference between experiencing them as they are in the dream versus experiencing their higher self. So I feel like the higher self is an internal part of us that's very close to the soul, if not the soul. Even though I do see them kind of sometimes represent themselves separately. So it's kind of a weird gray area. But I do feel like the higher self is the one that I experience sometimes amongst my friends. And like it just has a slightly different energy about it, very angelic, very wise, very multi-dimensional. So I usually tend to say that the higher self is like the multi-dimensional aspects of our identity.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now with that. Now, I'm sure I'll develop that concept more throughout my experience of coaching. So it's never, what I know now is not concrete at all.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Have you ever, well, you personally, have you ever dreamt and you've met yourself as you are now in your dream?
Yeah.
Another version of you?
Yeah, I have had dreams many times where I am myself and I'm talking to my higher self or even my soul. My soul doesn't really show an image. It comes very symbolically. So I feel like when I'm experiencing myself in a mirror, I'm usually experiencing, which probably is technically still the soul. Now that I'm thinking about it, with my shamanic sessions, it's just funny how it does it differently. But like where I'm talking to myself face to face, and I always say that my higher self is the perfected parts of me, and I am like the shadow of my higher self, or the one trying to exist as that. So like there's a lot, and I do write about some of those dreams in my first book, actually.
Oh, right.
Trying to just to experience that. So I used to always say, so I think I was at that point, I was probably a little disconnected from myself or my soul or my higher self, however term we want to use. But it was the idea that I kept seeing it and experiencing it, but I felt like I was the shadow, and it was like this disconnection when in all reality, it's all me.
Yeah.
I just needed to be embodying it.
Yeah. Have you had any way you've been like in conflict with yourself?
That's a good question. Yeah, with my inner child, there was conflict. That's why she was warping me with DMT. It was the idea of healing some ideas of my inner child, things that I had grown up with, feeling emotionally felt as a child. And maybe that I was too embarrassed to bring it to surface now as an adult. So I would, instead of other people exiling me as a child, I was the one exiling my inner child and not bringing it to light.
Right.
So there was conflict within that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Nicole, do you have anything?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on like the collective consciousness? Is it something you think we can like tap into via our dreams? Do you think there is one?
Very much. Yeah, we do experience the mass collective. That's what I would say, like walking out of your house. It would be out of body, but you're also experiencing the mass collective. So it's very interesting. And I know people, like a popular term would be like archetypes even, or spirits or entities or whatever, right? We got so much going on. But people tap into like history. They tap into things that do not belong to them. So like, and I know Carl Jung talks about that a lot. So I always say there's like different layers of the unconscious or the conscious even. So we're like consciously exploring the unconscious within ourselves, but also the mass collective. And then I would even suggest the universal too. So like not just within our planet or us as like human beings, but we're also connecting some really large concepts. And I think people who are more spiritually inclined with abilities, they're aware of that and they can do it more successfully with intention.
Yeah. Right. Can I ask you about premonitions? Do you get many people claiming they've had premonitions, or have you had any? Excuse me. Have you had any yourself?
I have personally myself several times in the last decade.
Yeah.
Some of them are just goofy, but I think it was just the point to prove that I could do it, honestly, in a way.
Yeah.
The most recent one I had was very sad. I had a dream, and it came in symbolically, so I wasn't really sure what it meant until the actual physical event happened, and I'm like, oh, I should have known that, like, because I was already working as a dream analysis coach. I'm like, I should have known that. I just ignored it because it was so weird. But it was my dog dying. So I had a dream that I was walking through hallways of a house, which I knew was my house, and hallways for me usually represent transitioning phases into other spaces or in life.
Yeah.
And I saw my son, who's 4 now, I saw him dead on a chair in my dream. But when I walked, and it snapped me lucid. So this is like something I went lucid, and I was very concerned seeing my son dead. But it didn't feel like my son. But I was like, okay, well, I know this was a dream, and I'm not sure what's going on here. But I went, and I felt like I should at least hold his body. So I went and held his body in the dream, and and I was like, in the dream, sometimes I can analyze the dream while I'm in the dream because I think I've just gotten used to it. But I knew it wasn't him because it did not feel like him or have his energy. But I realized the next day when my dog died that it was representing something that was like my child, but wasn't my child. And that night I held my dog's dead body in my arms like a baby. So it was kind of, it's heartbreaking because I loved that dog.
Yeah.
But I've had people we've talked about it in workshops before amongst my clients and other people who will like pay to join. And a lot of people are talking about visions and premonitions. I get people who will message me about them thinking they're crazy. And I'm like, no, there's time technically is a man-made concept. So there's a lot going on with that. I'm not a professional at it, but I do try to hold the space to talk about it and encourage people to explore it more.
Yeah. So another question, going a little bit deep now, but would you say these premonitions are not premonitions, but they've already happened and they're just living that and waiting to get to that point? Does that makes any sense?
Yeah, time is a funny thing because it doesn't really exist. So at the same time, it's like all happening now, and we can access into different parts of it, which I find it very interesting. So like we will have a lot of deep conversations in my one-on-one sessions talking about belief systems, concepts. Like I always say that at the end of the day, you logically want to understand how things work because we spiritually can connect to a lot of things that we can't explain. So I refer to them as both wolves. Like I know that's a popular thing. You've got 2 wolves internally, and feed one is what people usually say. And I usually say, screw that, feed them both. Because it's good to understand logically or analytically what's going on in the intuitional spiritual aspect of ourselves, or the trippy parts.
Yeah. Cheers. Nicole, you got anything? I've got another question if you've not.
So a lot of people report having, dreams of, it'll be a joke like, oh, I had a dream that you cheated on me and now I'm mad at you all day. Do you get a lot of those? Like, what do those usually represent?
Well, unless it's a premonition that actually comes to fruition, I've realized that our subconsciousness picks up on a lot of stuff that our conscious parts will ignore. So that's why I say the subconsciousness is smarter than our consciousness.
Yeah.
So maybe you are picking up on hints or things that you feel that will show itself in your dreams or in your subconscious states of existence. Maybe he is actually cheating on you and you subconsciously know it, but you're consciously in denial on it. Or you have a paranoia of something of that happening, and then it's just the paranoia showing. Because I think it could work both ways. That's why it's just good to realize, like, do you have a history of someone cheating on you? Do you have a fear of this happening? Did it come out of the blue? Or do you think you're subconsciously picking up on things around you? I have a lot of friends and clients, well, not maybe it's not so much clients, but I got a lot of friends who talk about stuff like this. And it's a really interesting space. So I think it could have several meanings to it, and it's really good to like dive into it. But at the end of the day, I do think our subconsciousness, it sees everything, so that's why we tend to see things like that pop up in the dream states a lot more, which is really cool to know that,
Yeah.
Like even look at people who study a lot or they're trying to invent, like inventors. They'll sit there for a good portion of their decade trying to figure something out, and then it'll be answered to them in their sleep because they consciously cannot figure it out, but their subconsciousness already knows how it works and it's just showing you.
See, that's happened to me, not on that level. I've not invented something or anything like that, but I've been asleep and then I don't know if it's been a dream or anything, but I've while I've been asleep, I've realised what it is I need to do. So take something on the computer or a technical issue, anything. It can be anything.
Yeah.
And I wake up, it's like, that's it. I'll get up there and then, because if I don't, I know I'm going to forget. But it's happened quite a few times, that. There was one, I think, sure it was on last weekend or the weekend before. And it's something I've been trying to work out for the last couple of weeks. And then, middle of the night, woke up. That's where it was. So I wrote it down. It's like, yes. And it just,
Perfect.
you just like put a lot of pieces together.
Yeah. I always say, let the subconsciousness do what it's good at. And it's really far exceeds what we consciously could do. And we see it all throughout history, but we also see like information being given to us too, which is very like paranormal or interesting, like from a higher level of consciousness. So like we can get information in various ways, but people even write story plots or write music, something that they dreamt of, right? Something creative even. And so I would say let the subconsciousness do what it does because it does it best when we consciously are tripping over ourselves on it.
I made something that I saw in my dream. A couple of years before I had my daughter, I dreamt that, this toddler, me said, will you be my mom? This is my name. And I wasn't thinking about having a baby. I wasn't thinking about, anything along the lines. And then a couple of years later, I got pregnant and I was like, okay, this is her name. Like, this is no question. I don't even like the name like I do now, but I didn't at the time. It wouldn't have been on my radar. Like, this is what she told me her name was. This is it, I guess.
That gave me chills a little bit.
That's kind of
I've heard of that. There's really a lot going on in that space, which is funny because I've had dreams about a daughter, but then I've also have some of my friends who are psychic. They're like sensing it too, and I'm always like, "Shut up! I'm not having kids." I was like, "Don't tell me."
They're putting that juju on you.
Like, oh God, I'd rather it be a surprise. But people who work more in the spirit realm, they can see stuff or sense stuff like that before it happens, or like psychics and stuff. So it's, like I do feel that our children pick us or choose us, and they're just waiting, and they're probably connecting with us prior. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very weird.
Yeah. And that's not mean every dream. So I don't want people to freak out if you're having dreams about being pregnant. That does not mean you're going to be pregnant. There can be a lot of symbolic meaning in that too. But sometimes, there's a very different energy sometimes with something on a soul level.
And can I just confirm that I've never dreamt about being pregnant? So
That's
just
good.
to make it clear.
You probably will tonight.
You know what? I probably
That
will.
means, it probably means something good is coming about. Like good opportunity or something, or a good, better phase, or it's usually a positive thing to dream about being pregnant.
If I have a little kid coming up to me in their dream asking me to be the dad, I might look at it be a black-eyed kid or something. It's like, no, get out.
You and the black-eyed children.
No, just can't get away from them. That's what
Those
it
are the
is.
only things that freak me out.
Yeah, they're the ones
there's
you
a
don't
lot
want
of
to meet.
stories about that in folklore.
Yeah. Another quick question about dreams. So, it's happened to me. It's happened to a few people I know where you've fallen out with someone in your dream. It's usually your partner, and then you wake up the next morning and it's felt so real, and it's like you're so mad and angry with that person, and they've not done anything. It was a dream, but you've got all that emotion and annoyance inside you that you just. Yeah,
That's what I was talking about with the
you
cheating
don't want
dream.
to be the friend, put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I say don't take it for face value at that point.
No.
Really try to dig into what the emotional connection to it is, or if you there could be a lot to it.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at your spouse.
But the thing, a lot of the time, it's like there's nothing. We're not arguing, not falling out, nothing like that. I'll have a dream. And it's like I just really don't want to speak to you. But then I've been woken up, I've been hit in the sleep of something that was going on in the dream. I'm like, what even them? I'm asleep and they're dreaming about whatever's going on. And I'm getting bad for it. That doesn't work like that. So yeah, I'm not impressed with that one. Don't like being on the receiving end. Put it that way.
No, not so fun.
Yeah.
So going off dreaming a little bit, because when I mentioned about the black-eyed kids, do you study or research a lot of, I suppose, high strangeness other than the dream analysis?
At the point, I have not experienced any black-eyed kids in anyone's dreams, but I've heard of it. I think there's a lot going on out there in the spirit realm, and there's a lot. It's never black and white, and a lot of the times I find that the information comes to me in various ways to kind of help learn or confirm what's going on. So I do feel like it's very, like, I hate to use the word demon, right, or something negative, because it's like such a vague word that really doesn't represent the whole body of everything. So like, there's definitely a lot going on in the lower realms, but then I've also noticed that like the fourth realm tends to hold like more like ancestors or past loved ones, and then like from the fifth and on up is like more of like a higher enlightenment, like angels and stuff, and like all the good things. But there's just a lot going on in that space, and and now if I have someone tell me this week they have a dream with a black-eyed child, I'm gonna have to really dig into it more.
Yeah, and please don't blame me. It's nothing to do with me.
Andy.
Like, it's your fault. You did this.
I'll pass the blame on to someone else. I'll find someone. How are you for time, Chelsey? Because I know you couldn't do the 2 hours.
We're kind of close to the 2 hours, yeah.
I know. Do you want to wrap this up now, or? Sorry?
Oh, do you guys have any more questions, or want to keep exploring, or?
We have one question that just came in, if we can hit this one real quick.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
If Forrest Rise said, can cryptids, paranormals, extraterrestrials, etc. tap into our dreams?
Yeah. Yes, it's been going on for all of history. That's why I say the human mind is like a front door. And if you don't realize you have a front door, it's vulnerable. So it's best to just have awareness and know what's going on. And we all have our own internal guides, but we also have things that pretend to be our guides. And I've seen it both ways. But it's good to really just be, that's why it turns into a very spiritual journey when you're tracing your dreams and really interacting with them. And yeah, there's a lot going on in that space.
Yeah. So can I, last question then. Is there any way of protecting yourself when you know you're starting to go into the lucid dreams or even astral projection itself?
Connecting with your guides, but I feel like this would be a very in-depth conversation. There's so much going on. I want and I see red flags. I have my own red flags with some of it and what I know is positive or negative, because some things will be like a false light. You have guides. Guides are never going to come into you or tell you what to do or ask of things from you. They're just a guide. But you also have your soul, which is your own internal guide and your higher self, right?
Yeah.
So I would always try to tap it. But if you're hanging out, when you first start astral projecting or having out of body experiences, and a lot of people wake up in the lower realms and experience the lower realms, and it's kind of hard and crappy, but you kind of have to go through those experiences to learn, and you tend to learn your tools and resources while you're going through that. But I've had people, who've had negative entities pretending to be their guides, and you just follow me on Facebook or message me if you have any questions personally on that. There's a lot going on in that I feel like it could be a whole nother conversation.
Right.
As an example, I learned how to use my aura as a shield and a weapon.
Yeah.
I've learned how to talk to my guides or ask for help when I needed it. I've learned my red flags, and I also learned how to go into the upper realms. And I don't really experience the lower realms for a very long time now, but I've noticed that even in the last few months that I had some negative things coming into my house, and they weren't showing their faces. They were using symbolic images. And then I would realize in the dream what was going on, and it was something negative. It's a really deep conversation. So it sucks, but I feel like you don't learn until you start experiencing it, and those experiences teach you.
So go with your gut feeling and trust your own intuition, I suppose.
Yeah. Don't ever let if something wants to help you and it says, here, let me come into you or do it for you, that's a total red flag. Don't do that.
Right.
Anything with unconditional love is not going to ask for things from you like that. Anything of higher consciousness or more enlightenment. You think they said something about aliens, those are still in physical form, just like us. So you've got your good ones and your bad ones too. And I don't know of any aliens, they will telepathically interact, but I also feel we can experience them, but I don't think I've ever experienced an alien inside my house. Unless it was, I've always been out of body experiencing it. And there's a lot going on in that. So if anyone was interested or has something negative going on that's watching this, feel free to follow me on Facebook or add me and message me, and I will talk to you one-on-one about it and really dig into it, because it's
I've put your link up for your website. That's in the show notes. So that's in there. But if anyone who's not friends with it do want to contact you, they can go on my Facebook and they'll be able to find you on there.
Yeah.
So
perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it'd be best to maybe talk about that more one-on-one with each person's experience. And I'm totally available to talk about that stuff and try to help you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for that. Do appreciate it. Right. We're going to wrap it up then. Sorry for keeping you longer than expected, but it's just really interesting. In the 3 years that I've been doing this, you're the first person that's been on to talk about dreams and really go in depth about it. So thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. It was a great chat.
Yeah. Nicole, if you want to follow me on Facebook, go for it too. Well, sure. We can connect.
Right. Oh, we shall let you go then. Sorry. And thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully you'll come come on again in the new year, and we can do, suppose, rather than doing a wide range of everything, just stick to one genre of dreaming and do that, if that's okay with
Yeah,
yourself.
that would be cool. Yeah, dreams bring up a lot onto the table, so it's a lot when you talk about it as a whole, but having more of a niche conversation is a lot of fun too.
Yeah, now that we got a good overview, we can go more specific.
Yeah.
Right, there it is. I think, is that yours? No, that's not your Facebook,
Yeah,
is
I
it?
forgot it still says that. I have to
Oh,
update
right.
my link.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got a completely different name for you. No worries.
That was like a
It's
long time
there
ago when I
anyway.
refused to use my real name.
All right, no worries. Right, all right then. Right, we're going to end it now. So massive thank you for coming on. Thank you, Nicole, for co-hosting and everyone moderating. Going to be back on Friday at 8 o'clock where we've got Ash Ellis. He's from the UK and he's going to be talking about ufology and paranormal, I think. So, yeah, so that's it. So yeah, massive thank you for coming on. Another great guest. And thank you to everyone that listens on the podcast as well. So that's it for now. Anyone want to add anything before we actually finish?
Good night.
Oh, we are good.
Good night, guys.
Perfect.
Enjoy the rest
All
of
right
your day.
then. Right. See you all on Friday. Take care and goodbye.